Doctors said that my dad has hit the genetic jackpot. How true is this? And how likely am I to inherit it from him? Nearing retirement at 51, he hit the job jackpot. He's only 51, the next decade will be a turning point. When it catches up, it will happen quickly. Did you, yourself, hear the doctor say you're overweight, hard drinking, former smoker? Dad is in amazing physical condition, or is it possible that's what your dad thinks he heard? My dad never smoked, rarely drank, but could eat sugar like no one's business. We never understood how he wasn't diabetic. It was a running joke. Dad kept a stash of candy in the garage where he worked on his old cars. His labs were always normal. He was 100 fine until multiple myeloma took him out at 62. He lived 1 month from diagnosis to death. Fuck cancer. Old heavy drinkers always have good health, because with bad health you can't drink, so you die or quit. While there's lasting damage from smoking, your lungs do heal when you quit. It can't heal COPD and whatnot, but they can definitely get pretty close to never smoked at all. But yeah, a lot is genetics as well as luck. You won't have all his goons though, but you might get lucky too. Edit to add. But here's the deal. You're fine until you're not. Things can swiftly go downhill once you develop one problem. Let's say you need a surgery, then that surgery limits your mobility for a while, then that causes muscle atrophy, then you have leg, hip, and back pain. It can take you years to go back to the way you were before, and if you're older, you're less likely to because your body is literally slowly deteriorating. Your bones lose mass, and often newly developed mobility issues cause people to eat less healthy because they don't have it in them to walk around a grocery store or stand there and cook. So if anything goes wrong, just put in the work. You'll be grateful for it later. My FIL was in the same boat as your father, and then one day suddenly he got sick. Like a chest cold, he couldn't shake. After nearly a month, he went in and turned out tumors in his lungs. So, as is normal, they check for tumors in other places. He had 3 in his brain. Died 4 months later, trying to fight it at 73. Trees that don't bend break randomly. The human body is great at compensating. Until the day it can't anymore. Imagine you have an older car. One day you realize it can't get up the tallest hill in town. That's okay, you say, there are plenty of ways around the hill. You don't need anything on top of that hill anyway. That hill is for losers. But slowly, it gets to the point where you can't make it up 2 or 3 hills in town. And finally you can't make it up any incline. You can no longer lie to yourself or compensate for the fact that your car does not work properly. One day Dad's body is no longer going to be able to function properly. That day could be tomorrow or in a decade. But it's coming. Or Dad is lying about what the doctor said, maybe lying to himself about his condition. Why were you in the room with your dad and his doctor? How can he retire at 51? False. Genetic jackpot is the kind of thing people make up and attribute to doctors when they don't want to recite what was actually said, along with the doctors being shocked at how picture-perfect his health is. He's a 300-pound alcoholic who smoked his entire life and doesn't eat right. He's not going to like the doctor's advice. It's so much more likely your father is just a liar who can't admit he has problems. 51 is nearing retirement? This was my dad at 51 too. Actually, it's still him at 63, minus the vodka. Half of your genes came from him, so your odds are good. It depends how strong his genes are. My dad is in perfect health, perfect hairline, only starting to get grays at 50, perfect teeth, literally the same scenario. I have my nan's messed up teeth, my grandpa's thinning receding hairline, the same health issues as my mom who's had 2 heart attacks before 50, and I started getting full white hairs in my 20s. My mom's side has indigenous blood and it's incredibly dominant in my whole family's genes. My grandmother lived to 90, smoked couple of packs a day until 85, loved her vodka, bacon and eggs most mornings, and of her 6 brothers and sisters, all who lived past 90, 3 lived over 100. There are some genes that have been identified as having protective properties when activated. My parents and aunts and uncles who are turning 60 are all having severe health problems and needing operations done for heart failure. 10 years ago, they were the spitting image of healthy doc here. Unless his physical and labs included a cath, which it definitely didn't, there's no telling what is brewing in his heart. He could be walking around with coronary plaques ready to rupture and there would be no way to know. He could have a big M2 plaque ready to blow, causing a debilitating stroke. None of this is knowable. I can tell you, with his size, eating habits, smoking, and drinking habits, he's a huge risk for developing OSA, which comes with its own effects later in life. Your dad has nothing obvious appreciable on basic investigations. Only time will tell how good his genetics actually are. Few people, especially a man that size with his habits, get to an old age unscathed.